Hi everyone, welcome to another super story. Do you remember we're hearing at the moment about people who listen to God? Well, today's story is about a boy. His name was Samuel. I'm not really sure how old he was when this happened, but he was probably the same age as some of you who are watching. He wasn't very old. He was younger than a teenager. Now, Samuel didn't live at home with his mum and dad like most people do. Samuel lived in the temple. It was a bit like the church back then. Can you imagine living at church? Well, Samuel lived at the temple because God had chosen him specially. God had a really important job for Samuel when he grew up. So Samuel lived at the temple, and there was someone there who looked after him, a man called Eli. Samuel had a special job at the temple. There was a little lamp, and it was Samuel's job to make sure that lamp never went out. So every night he slept in the temple by the lamp to make sure. Eli was an old man, so old that he was starting to have some trouble seeing. He didn't sleep in the temple, it was a bit too drafty for him. He had a room that he slept in. Well, one night Eli said, "Good night, Samuel," and Samuel said, "Good night, Eli," and off they went to their beds. Samuel lay down, but he hadn't been asleep very long when he heard a voice, "Samuel, Samuel." "Uh-oh," thought Samuel, "it's Eli, he needs me." And up he jumped. He ran over to Eli. "Here I am," he said, because, Eli couldn't see very well. Samuel wanted to make sure that Eli knew he was there. Eli said, "What?" Samuel said, "You called for me." Eli said, "No, I didn't. Go back to bed. Go and lie down again." So Samuel went back to his bed in the temple. He lay down and drifted back off to sleep, but he hadn't been sleeping for very long when a voice called again, "Samuel, Samuel." Up Samuel jumped. He ran over to Eli's room. He said, "Here I am. You called me." Well, it was the middle of the night and Eli wasn't really very awake when he said, "No, I didn't. Go back to bed." So Samuel went back to bed again. He lay down and closed his eyes and drifted off, and a voice called again, "Samuel, Samuel." I'm not sure that Samuel jumped up quite so quickly the last time, but off he went to Eli's room. "Here I am," he said, "you're calling for me." This time Eli was a bit more awake. He realised what was happening. He wasn't calling, but somebody was. God was calling Samuel. Samuel just hadn't realised. "Samuel," said Eli, "this is what you must do. You must go back to bed, and if you hear someone calling again, say these words. Say, 'Speak, Lord, I am listening.' Okay?" "Okay," said Samuel. He thought it seemed a bit strange, but if it kept Eli happy, that's what he'd do. So off he went to bed. He lay down very quietly. And then he heard the voice again. "Samuel, Samuel." "I'm listening," he said. "Speak." "Samuel," said God, "I have something important to tell you. I'm about to do something. It's to do with Eli. I've warned him of what's going to happen. He already knows. His sons have been doing really bad things. They're stealing people's special gifts. People are bringing me special gifts and Eli's sons are stealing them, and Eli knows all about it and he's just letting them do it. They're not doing the right thing. None of them are doing the right thing, and I'm going to punish them." Samuel felt a bit scared and a bit sad about that message from God. He went back to sleep again. In the morning, Eli said, "Samuel, what did God say to you?" But Samuel felt really scared. He didn't want to tell Eli the message from God, that God was going to punish Eli for doing a bad thing. he tried to avoid saying, but Eli knew. Samuel said, Eli, you must tell me, otherwise you might be in the wrong with God. So Samuel took a deep breath. He got himself feeling brave inside, and he told Eli everything that God had said. He didn't leave anything out. Eli looked sad. He said, God must do what is best. Samuel grew up in the temple. He got more messages from God. And God made sure that everybody knew that Samuel listened to him. When Samuel was a grown-up, God had even more special jobs to do. And because everybody knew that Samuel had listened to God when he was a little boy, Samuel could do God's work even better. That's the end of our story about Samuel. I hope you enjoyed it. Can you imagine if God spoke to you in the middle of the night? How cool would that be? I hope you have a good week, and I will be back on Saturday for some craft and on Sunday for Family Sunday. See you then. Bye.